to share with us, so we're excited about that. Has it been posted?
Yes, it has.
Okay, thank you. Are there any citizens that would like to address the board this evening? No? Okay, moving along then, we have approval of the minutes from our last meeting, which was held in May. Would somebody like to make a motion, please?
So moved.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, moved and seconded to approve the minutes as presented. All right, we have bright lights. Do you want to take us into that? Sounds exciting.
I will introduce this evening Maria Barreras, who will introduce everybody else that's up here this evening. So we're looking forward to your presentation, and then maybe you'll preview a little bit about the celebration this evening. So
I'll come back.
Thank you, Ms. Landish. So I want to start by introducing myself, Maria Barreras. I'm the multilingual coordinator, and here next to me is Angela Jurish. She is works at EA Chief. She's a teacher, and I have two wonderful scholars here next to me who we are going to be honoring today and showcasing their achievement. So today, board members, we are here to showcase our scholars who are receiving the seal of Biliteracy later on tonight. So the Seal of Biliteracy is a distinguished award given to graduating seniors who are bilingual and biliterate in 2 or more languages. These students are multicultural and globally competent. They have the ability to understand their cultural perspective and that of others in their community. They also take action by becoming cultural brokers in their community. They've contributed through to great projects their senior year. So these seniors will receive an official transcript with a seal of Biliteracy that communicates their achievement and their multilingualism journey. They will also receive a diploma with an official seal of Biliteracy later on tonight. This seal and transcript and diploma communicates to universities and future employers that they have this unique language expertise and that they are multicultural and globally competent. They are ready to compete at a global economy. These students have demonstrated such leadership in their young lives. I am really proud of them. And they will serve as cultural ambassadors wherever life takes them and will represent our district and our community with such honor and grace. We are so proud to showcase them today. So the seal of Biliteracy is honored and transferable across the nation. There's 23 states in America and the United States that honor and honor the linguistic diversity of our student population, and they have honored these students with the seal of Biliteracy across the states. Thousands of students have received the seal of Biliteracy, and today we contribute to that amount by giving the seal of Biliteracy to 48 students in the school district of Waukesha. We are so proud to be one of the few districts in the state of Wisconsin to be able to do this. This is big and super, super exciting for us as a community and as a school. I'm very proud. So I want to share with you a video that we use to talk to students about the seal of Biliteracy, to entice them to make a history in our district and pursue the seal of Biliteracy. So moving forward, today we do our celebration, award ceremony starting at 7 at South. All of you are invited to come and celebrate with us. But before that, I have two scholars here with us that I would like you to meet. We have Yvonne Mendez. She's a distinguished seal by literacy honoree. She'll be receiving the seal for two languages, Spanish and English. This is Yvonne Mendez. And then we have Madeline Rinka, who is be receiving the Distinguished Award as well, and she is receiving it for being bilingual and biliterate in three languages, Spanish, English, and French. Please help me congratulate these two wonderful scholars. If you have any questions for them, they'd be happy to answer any of your questions.
Sure, I have a question. I'd like to ask each one of them, first of all, congratulations. If we are also very, very proud of you. There's a lot to say about the opportunities for learning language in our school district. Did you start before middle school in your studies of foreign language? Either one of you can answer that.
Personally, I grew up with Spanish
Yeah.
and English.
Okay.
I first learned Spanish, but then I went into a grade school and I had to learn English, obviously. But it started a very difficult process to get there. But after that, a lot of rewards came from it, and I'm really proud of my parents, especially because they enforced that upon me to keep the Spanish, because I'm going into a culture where I'm going to be using English most of the time. But they really said that it would be important for me and reward me later in my future if I kept that Spanish.
So they supported your
They definitely did.
English. Okay,
Yes.
great. How about you?
I technically went to a Spanish club when I was in elementary school, but my language learning really started in middle school. So I did the wheel like everyone did in
Okay.
middle school, where you tried out different electives. And then in 8th grade, I decided that I wanted to take both French and Spanish, and it is stuck for all 5 years.
So did it come easy for you?
There was a couple goof ups in the beginning where words would change or cognates would get switched around, but now it's not difficult anymore because it's become almost natural to learn both of them at the same time because they really complement each other.
Wow.
But yeah, it hasn't been as hard as you would think it might be to learn them at the same time.
So what kind of a career do you think you are going to find?
I'm actually going into communications, so I will be obviously communicating with people all the time. I'm considering a minor or a double major in international studies, so I'm not exactly sure where I'll end up, but I'm going down to southern Florida for college, so I will be in a lot of Spanish-speaking
That's
communities
right.
already.
That's
So
right, you will.
yeah.
You will. Well, you can probably go anywhere with the skills that you've
yeah.
gained at this point in your life. It's, it's admirable. Many of us took foreign language in high school and, can't say very much. Hola. Buenos dias.
Well, it's Spanish.
So, any other comments? Yes, Mr. Baumgart.
Comment. Couple months ago, I was visiting over at Rose Glen, and they have this little bit of an international perspective. Madeline, were you there? I'm not picking on you for any reason. Let me finish the rest of the story. I think what's important, because I saw kids with your seal of biliteracy there
Oh, yeah.
speaking to the, I don't know, 3rd or 4th graders?
Yep.
Was that you?
That was me.
I thought so. Anyway, what a neat idea to bring a high school student in over, and you had a circle of, I don't remember if they were 3rd or 4th graders.
It was 3rd.
3rd
Yep.
graders around you in the room, and you were working with them in French.
Yep.
And, we always talk about getting the kids engaged, and they were engaged.
Yeah,
And for you to be there sharing the efforts you've put forth in getting to that, and then sharing with the kids, that's like two positives right there, then and there, and I was so pleased to see that. I've mentioned it to people elsewhere, so thank you for that, and I'm sure that's other students in the biliteracy, the Seal of Biliteracy group have done the same kind of work. So
Yes, they continue to be ambassadors to our school, from our school, and they're going to continue to represent our school district wherever life takes them. And that's the beauty about the learning another language and being bicultural and globally competent.
and thank you for that.
Research has said that students can get a foreign language best when they're very young. And I wish so much that we could start, really seriously, teaching a foreign language when our students are in elementary school. Because, when you start middle school, it's a little harder than if you were very, very little. And I've seen some young children, who live in a family with two languages, be very verbal in both languages. And I think it's wonderful. Yes.
Thank you, Barbara. I just, Madeline, I think it was you that you talked about your going to South Florida. Now, I know you're just getting the seal of biliteracy now, but did these colleges that you're going to know that you are working towards this and offer you scholarships? Did this help you in any way pay for college?
Mine personally did help me. As far as I know, I went and I did an interview for a scholarship, which I ended up getting, and I mentioned that I was in the process of getting the seal of biliteracy for both Spanish and French. So it wasn't a specific scholarship for language, but I did bring it up, and she was very impressed and excited by it. So I think that definitely helped on my part.
For Carroll University, which is where I'm going to be going, for my placement test, they kind of looked on the fact that I was going to be going through the process for the seal of biliteracy to kind of see the level of Spanish that I was participating in. So that kind of reflected in my placement test for Spanish as well. So.
What did the service projects look like?
So, as mentioned before, my service project was going to Rose Glen Elementary School and teaching French for about 4 separate hours on 4 days to third graders.
Wow.
And I went to Rose Glen, so that was kind of me
Okay.
going
Oh,
back
okay.
to all of my teachers, which was really fun. But the kids reacted so amazingly to the project. They were so excited. I would walk in and they'd be saying bonjour, and they were getting so into it, and it was so exciting to see them, because I remember at my age, like, I was in Spanish club in elementary school, which I think is still offered there, so I wanted to give back with French too. And they were just beyond excited and enthusiastic to be a part of this community and this idea. It was really amazing to just see them wanting to get involved and being excited about it. So.
I think they are.
For me, my service project was actually helping students and parents here at the school district. I was sitting in the bilingual office, and parents would come in with questions, and I would help them communicate with different departments of the school district. So I saw that parents felt a lot more comfortable asking questions, and I was
Sure.
able to help them answer all their questions. And if they had comments to say or concerns or anything, I would help them do that too. So I saw a lot of happy parents and students as well when they had difficulty communicating with employees here at the school district. So.
Yes.
First of all, congratulations to the two of you. Also want to thank your families and the staff that have supported you along the way. Obviously, you wouldn't be here if it wasn't for them, at least to this level. Could either the staff or the students, if you have something that comes to mind, mention something that you think was your greatest challenge, or an area that you see that might need a little bit of improvement?
Good question.
I can answer that. I think that being the first year that we were trying to get students to participate in the seal of biliteracy and everything that comes with it, all the work behind it. I know we had some great teachers, counselors at South, at North helping us with it. I think in the future it'd be great if we can have the high schools take more of an ownership of the process. And I know that Dee is going to continue, to kind of articulate a process with much more time, so we can have more students participate. But I think just communicating to staff and talking to them about what it is and educating them and, having them support their students at the high schools.
Just very quickly, I want to share a personal experience. Is that okay? In the late 1800s and the early 1900s, many, many, many immigrants came to the United States from European countries, and of course they spoke their native tongue, and my grandparents were among them, and they never did learn English. But my mother, who was, one of their children, they wanted to speak English. They did not want to speak their native tongue. And so I think that learning foreign languages at that time maybe got lost, but I see such a great renewal and such a phenomenal interest in learning foreign languages, and keep it going. It's wonderful, just wonderful.
Thank you for sharing that.
Just wanted to add one thing.
Yes.
By the way, and speaking of sharing it and getting the schools involved in this, I really liked your video. I thought you did a really nice job on that, and use it.
Yes, we do that. We use it with the students and, of course, with staff, just, showing the importance and how we are making history, and we're offering students the world. We're preparing them so they can go out there and really compete in this global economy.
Yeah, that's right. Just one more question. When you go to college, are you going to continue to study language, or do you think you've pretty much learned what there is to learn?
Personally, I will probably continue language. I'm not sure if I want to minor in any languages yet, but my major does require me to continue with languages. I did take the AP French and the AP Spanish test.
Did you?
Yes. And so I have those prerequisites going into college, but they also offer Arabic, which I'm considering taking, so I guess we'll just find out.
Wow. Well, you certainly have a facility for learning languages. That's wonderful.
I personally will be pursuing probably a minor in Spanish in college, but I definitely will be taking more classes to get more informed in those in the class and be really advanced in the language that I'd like to take, which is Spanish. So.
Well, best wishes to you as you start your college career. It's an exciting time of your life. And just know, when you walk away from the school district, we're extremely proud of you and your teachers, too, for making all this possible. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your attention.
Okay, moving along. We'll get into we have 2 action items this evening. Approval of district academic standards. Take us into that, Jody.
So we move on from that to the boring stuff. So I have 2 action items for you this evening. Dan Keyser is going to take you through the first, and it's just an annual update for our district academic standards.
Okay, welcome, Dan.
Welcome. Good evening. Hard to follow that. So tonight I'm here to ask for our approval of our annual notice of academic standards. We do this annually. This is per state law and legislation. Once approval is given, we post the notice up on our district website. With our revamp, we have a section of annual notices. That's where I'll be placed. And in your materials, you have the actual language that has, if it looks familiar, it is, because it's the notice that's on the website, and we just update the approval. So, questions?
Okay, any questions or comments?
No, but this is an action item, so I will move for approval of and it would be the posting of them, or?
Be approval of the posting of the notice, and then the text of the notice is what you have in front of you.
So moved.
Okay,
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we accept the approval of district academic standards. Okay, any further discussion? All right, all those in favor respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Great. 5-0, Stacy.
Thank
you, Dan.
All right, the next action item for your
Yes.
consideration this evening is the overnight field trips. And I guess I just want to make mention, we did put in your board packets earlier this week, just a reminder that we are now officially following our new board policy in terms of the updates and the overview. So Please just take that into consideration as, you know, moving forward now, we're going to have likely anywhere from 6 to 10 or so just approvals at every board meeting instead of that larger
Yeah.
packet. So
That's okay.
Stacy, as always, is thorough and makes sure that all the requirements have been followed. We did, as of this afternoon, also add 2 additional trips, especially considering we're not meeting in July. So
Right.
we're asking for the West Palm Camp and the West Palm Badgerette Championships to be added to your consideration among the other overnight trips. They'll all be packaged as one action item.
Fine, okay. Thank you for that, Jody. I just need to say that these applications have never been more perfect. There was not a thing missing. So Stacy, thank you for all your hard work. I mean, it took over a year to get where we are today. Some people put this in and some put, now you've told the students, it's part of our rules, got to do ABC, and it was done. So thank you. This was just phenomenal. Any questions or comments about any of the trips? Yes.
I just had one on the, let's see, it is the cheerleader for Central Wisconsin Cheer Camp, North Fond du Lac. And just on the very back, the 2 kiddie clinics, are the cheerleaders themselves teaching clinics?
It's my understanding that they hold those clinics for area grade school and middle school students to come, and they do that as a fundraiser for their squad to go to these activities.
Thank you.
Okay, any other comments or questions? Okay, yes, Mr.
I'll
Brown.
move for approval of the field trips as presented.
Second.
Okay, is there any further discussion, questions, comments? Okay,
I just would point out that people listening might be wondering, these are all quite local. And we're not
yes,
you know,
yes,
these
yeah, they
not
are.
Great distances at great
No.
expenses, so.
Thank you for saying that. It's just a lot of camps that cheerleaders and POMs are going to be going to, and girls volleyball. So, it's all locally in the state of Wisconsin. Okay, all those in favor, respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, 5-0. All right, now we'll get into the information items. Anxious to hear the first one. Jody, take us into that, please.
All right, with the good-looking crew in the back, including Principal Yui Wynn, come up and introduce your Hawthorne
What
team.
a sweetheart. What a sweetheart. Oh, Bill, didn't you enjoy meeting with him?
Oh, sure.
What a guy.
Very pleasant.
It's all yours, boss.
Good evening, everyone.
Welcome.
Thank you. We're so excited to share with you some great news from Hawthorne Lab School. Before I do that, I'm going to have our staff introduce themselves, and then I will take the mic back, and then we will start.
Okay.
I'm Kristen Kohlberger. I'm a level 1 teacher, which is kindergarten and first grade.
Mackenzie Rabin, also kindergarten and first grade teacher.
Shelley Tradle, second and third grade teacher.
And I'm Carly Solberg, an effectiveness coach at Hawthorne.
The effectiveness coach? Okay.
Yes, there we go.
Well, welcome. We're very excited to hear what you have to share with us.
Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you, Joe, for introducing us and introducing the good-looking crew and then the principal. So I caught that. I just want to make sure. I'm really excited to share with all of you a new vision and a new mission for Hawthorne Elementary School. I think the context that I want to quickly update and share with you is that we actually believe that at Hawthorne we have great teachers and we also have great students. However, we know through the district report card that hasn't been reflected in the report card. And I just want to highlight that that's the fact. So what can we do? I think what we can do is I think for us, we have to redefine Hawthorne. We have to create a new vision for Hawthorne. And I believe with the lab school, we are well on our way to doing that. So another thing that I believe, another assumption that I believe is that as a teacher and as an educator, we can't do this by ourselves. So we have to figure out how can we collaborate with each other and how do we do that more efficiently and better. And one of the things that we want to do is collaborate with Carroll University and collaborate with them to look at our practice, our teaching practice, and to look at what we can do so that we can be student ready as opposed to just school for students to be ready for students instead of students being ready for us, okay?
So going off a little of what Yui said, this collaborative partnership with Carroll, the goal would be really to study student thinking and teacher practices to really refine them and make them better. For Carroll, they'll have the opportunity to put their pre-service teachers into our classrooms to learn alongside us. And as a teacher, I'm just really excited about that because I think the more people that are collaborating on a teacher's practices and study what's best for the learners in front of us, the better we can refine our practices. And having someone asking me, what am I doing and why am I doing that, will help me think more deeply and become a better teacher because of that.
So our SAIL team worked collaboratively to come up with the latest draft of the mission for our lab school, which is to empower curiosity and thinking, to inspire a passion for learning, while creating positive changes in our shared community. And so our big goal of this lab school is all around curiosity. Curiosity with our students, studying our learners. Where do they come from? Who are they? What are their interests? What are their talents? What are their hobbies? Looking for the assets that we can build on. We're excited, like Kristen said, to have pre-service teachers in our building who will constantly be asking our teachers, why are you doing that? Which will cause our teachers to reflect deeply on their practice. As Yui mentioned, we're lucky to have teachers at Hawthorne that are already super curious about the teaching and learning process. And so our goal as instructional leaders is to figure out what are each of our teachers already curious and wondering about, and tap into that as we coach teachers to grow their practice. And ultimately, we believe that this curiosity will have a positive impact on our whole learning community because we're working with what people are already wondering and building from there.
So in front of you now, you'll see our theory of action, and we believe that our theory of action aligns really well not only with Carroll's guiding principles, but with our lab school mission and vision as well. I'm not going to read it to you, but in essence, we believe that if students will grow in literacy and math practices if we are curious about their thinking. And I know personally, if I'm curious about my learners' thinking and how they learn, then I can tailor my instruction to best fit their needs and how they learn best.
And then looking at some of those smaller if-then statements, just that understanding that the more that we study our kids, the more that we're going to know them, the better the relationships that we build with them will be. And this will lead our students to be more engaged in the learning in the classroom. And studying our learners will also help teachers to provide the instruction that our students need. And the part that's really exciting for me is being given this opportunity to study students and how they learn best. I'm looking forward to that.
All right, so I don't know if is it okay for me to stand and pass this out, or?
Absolutely.
All right.
Absolutely.
Can't pass it out sitting down, you read. I know that.
I just wanted to think that, like, how would I do that?
We give tickets out if you stand.
Well, this is going around. I just would like you all to know that Mr. Baumgart and myself had a meeting with Joey, and extremely informative. The day I was there, he had Mrs. Kretschmer from Carroll College, somebody who I have a lot of respect for, and she's quite a star in education. So it was a wonderful opportunity for Mr. Baumgart and myself to hear in depth about this new practice. So thank you for that visit, Dewey.
Thank you for coming. What questions do you have?
Ms. Franchek.
I noticed your if and when statements. Did you come up with this new idea in your sale process. You did.
Yes. So the sale process was a collaborative exercise in that this is our 6th draft. So
Okay.
Could you tell me
Yes.
what the next 3 or 4 steps would be in the process?
yes. So one of the things that we already started to do was we actually had a meet and greet with Carroll University so that we can start to build that relationship because we want to make sure that this plan is sustainable. So that's step one that we have done. And then step 2 is just making sure we do have 100% of our teachers buying into this process. I think that that is key in our system, just making sure that teachers are on board. And I think they're on board because they're excited about the opportunity to study kids.
How are they going to learn this new way of teaching? How are they going to? Are you going to have in-services over the summer for all teachers? What are you going to do?
We will have in-service. We already have at least 2-3 years planned
Wow.
out for us. So it's definitely something that we think about and we're thoughtful from every word that we use in our theory of action to our next steps. So, and the third piece to answer your question again was our parents too. We met with our parents for end of year celebration, the PTO meetings, we also met with them, and we also now have several PTO members that will share out some of our excitement as well because we believe that they also have to be a part of this process.
Mr. Baumgart.
Taking off from that point, what kind of a reaction are you getting from parents?
I think our parents, just at the end of the day, they want what's best for their child.
Okay.
So the questions typically comes up to, how is this helping my child? And my response to them is, we now know your child at a deeper level, academically, socially. So we are addressing the needs of their child. So personalized learning taken to another level.
Good. And thank you on that last sentence there too, because I think one of the things, and you and I have talked about this, that's really important and that's embedded in here is when you talk about students thinking, we're not talking about globally students thinking, we're talking individually how students are thinking, because, 9 people, well, what do we got tonight, 6 people, whatever, sitting around the room, we might all be thinking in a different manner. And what I was impressed with when we talked about this was, no, we're going to figure out, how does Mary think and how does Johnny think so that we can, those are names from the past, by the way. We don't have any of those anymore. But it's important, if you're going to get a message across to a kid that you understand how it's going to get in there. And I was so impressed with that concept.
Sorry,
I mean,
David,
it's so
and-
obvious, but it's the right thing to do.
Yep, we're very excited about that opportunity just for teachers to study our students and then micro-adjust in real time.
Great, thank you.
Julie, could you explain for us, for instance, what would a class in reading look like?
We will still follow the curriculum
Yes.
of our district. I think what we would do a little bit different is the idea of, again, just providing, okay, now if the child is decoding or encoding, how do you know? What's your evidence? And then as a team come together and talk about, is that the next step? Is that appropriate for guiding our students' reading? So anything that we are doing, it still
Sure.
follows our district guidelines.
But
and
just some of
procedures.
the instructional practices.
Right, and our hope is just to make sure that we all study from one another. So this could be another place where our school could be a place where we do PDs, so we can study.
Yes.
But at the end of the day, it's all of us, like I said in the beginning, we can't do this together.
Right. Now, is it going to be called Hawthorne Lab School?
Yep, Hawthorne Lab School, we'll change that to, the lab stands for Learn Together, Analyze Thinking, and Build on Strengths.
Okay. Okay. Any other questions? Yes.
How many teachers are we talking about from Carroll? And are we talking about student teachers, or are we talking about teachers that are there for observation only?
Both.
We will start small. Like at this point, it's not going to be where all of a sudden we have all Carroll students coming over. I think we've done that in our district before. What is a little bit different is we're going to be a little bit more strategic on understanding which teachers would be utilized with our Carroll students, or pre-service students, so that we have a better placement. We already have in place who we think would be the classrooms with student teachers, classrooms with practicum students, and we also have pre-service. And then we also talked about, is there a way to have Carroll students maybe once or twice a semester come over and see, because our belief is, and Carroll's belief, Carroll University, is that it's theory to practice to theory. So just that loop, and just trying to make that tighter. But it won't be where teachers won't teach, and we step back and have our Carroll students teach. No, it's very strategic.
So the students will be through all levels of the
Yes.
college. It'll be, okay.
Because I think that's how we start. I mean, we start right away, as opposed to student teaching semester, even though that's one of the more important semesters. But we believe that if we can get them in the classroom sooner, I think we have a better chance of developing some really strong teachers that will stay in Waukesha.
And how many students are we talking about? Teachers, I mean, college students.
Right now, I'm thinking about 4.
So are you saying that the student-teacher experience from Carroll College will be different than it's been in the past?
I think we can make it better in that we know our teachers really well.
Yes.
And if we get a chance to know the Carroll students real well, we can have better placements.
Good. That's very, very important, to have better placement. And so how long will the student teachers be in your building? Will they do their practicum with you, or just come and do some activities to learn?
We follow the same protocol that has already been in place with student teaching.
Like
So,
about what, 10 weeks, 5 weeks?
it's more than 5 weeks.
Really?
And what we
Good.
want to do too is to make sure that, again, they are with us before and even after, building that relationship as well. So
Sure.
I know that there's a specific criteria, and I can get back to you on that too.
So then, will Carol be helping the students become familiar with your type of school, so that when they come, they have some background knowledge?
That's the idea. The idea is that we connect with Carroll students, but then Carroll students have a chance their first semester, second semester to be with us and to get to know the staff and vice versa.
That's great, trying to match up the student teacher with a classroom teacher that, there's similarities and will be very, very effective. That's wonderful. That's going to make it's a two-way street. You're going to gain from them and they're going to gain from you. So, what a great experience that's going to be. So will they complete the requirements for student teaching at your school?
Yes.
They will. Wonderful. Great. Any other questions? Yes.
Any professor involvement from Carroll University?
Absolutely. I think the professors, they are just as excited as we are, because here they have an opportunity to share with their students the theories and the practices that they're talking about. So, and we are also working with them to make sure that we leverage, so build that stronger connection with our school district and Carroll, but they might potentially come out as well as a whole class to just kind of study our school as well.
Well, I think one of the positives is, for instance, when you and I met Carrie Kretschmer from Carroll, one of the professors was in the meeting with us, and they're going to bring just a lot of great things into student teaching because of the cooperation you're interested in. And, she's a very, very successful educator. I've certainly, talked with her many times about ideas and help, and that's a great person to have. Is she going to continue to work with you, continue to be part of your team?
Yes.
Yes, that's great. That's wonderful. Okay, anything else? Mr. Dietz?
Just one more comment. I want to applaud you for your efforts in looking at your school differently, and I see the excitement in your staff here, and obviously that's going to be contagious, and I look forward to hearing many more good things about Hawthorne Elementary School in the near future. Thank you very much for all your hard
And
work.
I promise I did not pay them.
Well, I'm very impressed with how much time you have already invested in, preparing for this next year. I'm anxious to come and visit and see how it looks on a daily basis. So
Thank you.
Dewey-
You're always welcome.
I know. Dewey, thank you so much for sharing your vision and making your vision into reality. That's a tough thing to do, and I really admire all the work that you've invested and how you've tapped resources in our community. Good job. Wonderful.
Thank you.
Wonderful. You're welcome.
Thank you, all of you. And again, I'm really proud to work in this district because of all the support of all of you. We appreciate it as well on our end. Thank you.
We're proud of you, too. Thank you. Okay, moving on. Update on eAchieve Alternative. Going to take us into that?
Yes, we have Sharon Thiede here this evening, as well as Principal Rick Nettesheim, that are going to give you sort of a first reading of a proposal that we're looking at for the 18-19 school year.
Welcome. Good to see you.
Hello. So this evening, Rick will do most of the talking. He just has, you see a proposal in front of you with a little bit of a summary of an idea of how we can, again, expand our services to meet as many student needs as possible, this time looking through eAchieve Academy with an alternative environment lens. So I'm going to turn it over to Rick so he can explain a little bit about what this would look like, and it's an idea that we would like to pursue, again, not for next school year, obviously, but then the school year after that.
Okay, thank you.
So eAchieve has been around in the district for a long time, and it serves a very unique population. Many of the students that are coming to eAchieve were not seeing success at their traditional school for lots of different reasons, and when they come to eAchieve, a lot of those factors are removed, and they do see success, but not all do. And that's what this proposal is really targeted at, is really honing in on students who come to eAchieve, or once they're at eAchieve, we discover that they have some pretty significant at-risk factors for dropping out of school. And the essence of this proposal is to start a third virtual charter school in Waukesha that would be called eAchieve Alternative, and it is specifically focused on exclusively serving students who are at risk of not graduating from high school or dropping out of school. The primary difference between eAchieve Alternative and our current school is that it would have significantly more supports that would be offered to the student, and different programming as well. Students could still take eAchieve Academy classes, but the supports that they would get from a study skills teacher or a competency program teacher would really be serving much the same role that our parents serve in eAchieve Academy and eAchieve Elementary, where they really the parents do a lot of the mentoring. What we're finding is that the students that end up not participating, having to be sent back, or we just don't accept initially because it's pretty clear in their academic history and the things that they share with us as part of the application process that our current model just is not a good fit for them. The study skills teacher and the competency program manager serve a lot of that parental type of role, where they would meet regularly with the student, minimally weekly, to go through the kinds of things that most of our parents are already doing, setting goals, looking at homework, reviewing feedback, advocating, helping the student to advocate for themselves, teaching those kinds of skills, a very, very supportive type of role. And that really is a very different model than what we have going on at eAchieve. So that really is the essence of eAchieve Alternative. I'm very happy with the students who are successful at eAchieve, but I'm still not pleased with the graduation rate and the dropout rate. And that's what we're looking to do, is to make a difference there for those that it's still not the right fit.
So are you talking about, brick and mortar school for these kids? A program in a brick and mortar school?
No, this would be exclusively a virtual school,
Oh,
just
okay, it
like
would be.
eAchieve Academy and eAchieve Elementary. It would
Okay.
be 100% online, and that's really what sets it apart from East is these are students who are not looking for a face-to-face
Okay.
environment like our students at East. So that's a really important question that you asked, because I want to make it clear that in the same way eAchieve Academy is not competing against North, Southwest, Butler, the other schools in the district, eAchieve Alternative would not be competing with East for students. Most of these students would be coming from outside of Waukesha, just like eAchieve Academy.
Okay. And what will that program look like?
Well, they would have a lineup of classes, just like eAchieve Academy student would do, but then they would be meeting regularly with either a study skills teacher or the competency program coordinator to provide at minimally weekly guidance, but more often it would be twice a week, 3 times a week. Sometimes it might even be daily, where they're checking in with the teacher to see, okay, this was what you had set out to do yesterday. Did you accomplish that? And that's what really makes it a very different model than what we're currently doing.
Would you say it's more personalized?
It's highly personalized, absolutely.
That's great. Okay. Questions, comments? Yes, Ms. Ranchuk.
Thank you. So I'm thinking of the students that aren't doing well in our regular brick and mortar schools. So then they might go to eAchieve thinking, if I'm at home, I won't be around this atmosphere and I'll do better. But then they're not doing well in eAchieve for whatever, some aren't, for whatever reason. Maybe is it motivation? Like, how would this help them? Because there's someone going to be coming online and saying, hey, what's going on? I really want to reach out to you. Like you said, there's going to be the study skills teacher and then also the comp teacher. How are they going to wrangle them back in and kind of make sure that they're following through when it's not face to face and it's just another person on a screen? How is that going to help?
Right. So in many ways, this is not so different than our special education teachers who serve much of a very similar role for students with IEPs, where they meet weekly, biweekly, 3 times a week with a student to work on many of those same kind of skills. But these students don't necessarily have IEPs, but they need a lot of that same kind of support. And so having someone that you're reporting to every day or every other day really seems to be effective for some students, even if it's through a web conference or a telephone call or an email that they have to send to their teacher, their study skills teacher, to report on, here's what I accomplished this week. So it's really providing that supportive adult in their life who can help them stay focused on the task that they need to accomplish for that day or for the next 2 days. That's really the difference here.
So
Go ahead.
Thank you. So why couldn't that just be a program or a one-on-one with those students, just like we do in our school? Okay, you have an IEP, and this is how we're going to follow it, versus a whole nother school for them. Why are you choosing to have a school separated?
Oh, they're different.
Yeah, that's a great question. Because as a separate school, then we can focus on exclusively serving at-risk students. It would allow us to bring in many more students that we're already denying because the current model just doesn't work for them.
It'll actually end up opening up more options. So a student who maybe was denied originally into an eAchieve Academy just due to their application and risk factors then could potentially get into a program like this or a charter like this, knowing that they have those added supports. And then similar to your previous question about the reaching out, I think one large benefit is that they'll be able to intervene earlier with these students, where right now an intervention, if they aren't doing the work or falling behind in the traditional model, comes at longer intervals, and this will be much more personalized. And I know they'll begin to work on that relationship building, because we know that that's what helps move our at-risk kids forward in a positive fashion.
And if I could just follow up, one other element that certainly would be existent is because these students are at risk, we have a lot more flexibility to reduce the number of classes or extend how long they're working on classes. It really is a different kind of model.
Is this school, okay, let me start over. Is this school happening anywhere else in the U.S. that we're saying, yep, this is working over here, we want this, or are we starting this?
I'm not aware of any in the United States. That's really based on our own experience in terms of what's working well for our virtual students, and what about those students where it's still not working for them.
So this would be the first at-risk virtual school, from
As
what
fa-
you know.
as far as I
you
know,
In the
but
state, we know.
certainly in the state,
This state,
absolutely.
okay.
Yes.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Baumgart.
Karen asked part of my question, and that is along the same lines as to whether we really want to do this as a separate charter school, because when you do that, there's a lot of logistics involved with having a charter school. You have to have another governance board. We already have an issue with governance boards. You have to do that, and the approvals from the state and all that. Whereas if there were a program, I really didn't get a solid answer as to why we can't have this as a program within the charter school. I don't need to dwell on that tonight, but that's something that's going to be in my head. Why can't this be a program within the existing charter school, so we don't have to go through all that, quite simply, hassle again to create another charter school? So that is something we're going to need to address. And kind of along that same line, it sounds like it's going to be, and I know you've got some comments in here about that, it's going to be an increase of staffing and an increase of expenses, which is something that we're going to have to really be clear about whether or not this is going to work that way, because those are issues we have to deal with as part of our responsibilities. So I'm just kind of letting you know that question is going to hang out there for a while, at least for me, as to whether this has to be a charter school or can be a program within a charter school, because I really didn't hear that defended very well.
So let me take that further. One of having a charter school that is exclusively serving at-risk students also allows us to apply for alternate accountability with the state, which we can't do currently.
If that money is still available.
I'm sorry?
Accountability. I'm sorry.
Accountability.
Okay.
No, we can't do that under our current model because we don't serve exclusively at-risk
I
students.
understand. That's a good point.
Ms. McCaffrey.
Are we anticipating or planning that this alternative school will also be a tool we use for our students that have an expulsion order over their heads?
It most certainly could be, yes. And that's something we've talked about already as being a very attractive piece to this.
Being separate from the Achieve Academy, so we can, have we worked out any numbers on that, any cost savings that may be on that, having them in a school like this as opposed to the other services that we provide them right now?
Yes, we're looking at the homebound services that we're currently using for some of our students, and then the other side of it is that this could be an option instead of just saying student, you're expelled, we're done with you. This is a good vehicle for those students to stay engaged in school. Additionally, Rick and I review all of the open enrollment applications that come in, particular to eAchieve, and if they do have an expulsion order, and we're looking at kids, there are districts that really take a absolute zero tolerance to certain behaviors. And we probably review in the neighborhood of 50 applications a year where there's an expulsion order. So we see them written all sorts of ways with all sorts of caveats in there. And this is one way for students to maintain credits. This is an opportunity for us to serve students who've really been subjected to an absolute zero tolerance for you name the behavior. And it's something that's not inconsistent. There are some school districts that say, we will send you to such and such a virtual charter school, and that'll be your participation.
Right.
We haven't approached it that way in Waukesha, and this would be a good vehicle for it. And the other layer to this is we last month had a presentation on at-risk, where we're identifying students grades 6 through 12 next year, 5 through 12, who are demonstrating signs of at-risk of not graduating. We're doing that all across the Waukesha schools. This is the beginnings of that, and then the support plan for eAchieve students. Students who demonstrate truancy in the online world, students who are struggling academically, who have some of those other factors that would qualify. This would be a vehicle to serve those students, which is, those are our kids. Once we accept them, they're ours.
No, definitely. I think it's a great idea, especially if we're going to use it in that capacity for our students that are at risk for multiple different reasons. Because, and we have discussed it in expulsion hearings about wanting to make sure that those children still get the education that they need to move forward in life, and that, you know, an expulsion is not the end, should not be the end of the road for them academically. So I think it's fantastic if that's the direction we're going. Great.
So the population of the students will be from all over Wisconsin, like our eAchieve Academy is now.
That's correct.
There can be some of our own kids in there, but
True.
But now, will these kids apply based on encouragement from their administration or from their former school district? How do they?
They certainly may, and we're seeing an increase in the number of students who are recommended to apply from the counselors from schools all over the state.
Okay.
They say, well, it's not really working out well for you here, but you might want to try eAchieve Academy, because we've heard really good things, and we've sent a few students there, and they've really seen success.
So then they're referred by
They
their
may
school
be,
district.
right.
They might be.
Right. And then as the word gets out about this being an alternative program for specifically targeting at-risk students, we will let districts know that we have this program available, and see if they have students that may be able to make use of the services we're providing as well.
Would you say that we've increased the number of school districts that are familiar with this program?
Yes, absolutely. Oh,
Okay.
yes, yes.
Okay, good, good. So you're gonna now, this will be a separate school, right, alternative school?
Yes.
So will you have to have all different teachers for them, or can you use some of the same teachers?
We will use many of the same teachers for
Okay.
the academic
Okay.
side of things in terms of the classes, in much the same way students from our face-to-face schools here take classes at eAchieve on a part-time basis. But their real core will be that study skills teacher or the competency program coordinator that's working very closely with those students.
So they'll have some separate instruction and study skills, et cetera.
Yes.
That's so important, because those kids don't have those, and that's why they're not successful. Well, once they learn, to have some study skills, then they can be more successful. I've seen it with my own grandkids. Sometimes it's study skills, not intelligence, it's study skills.
That's
so.
exactly right.
Yeah, so that's great. I'm really excited. So when are you going to launch this? Next year?
So the plan is to come back in September for the first reading of a charter contract.
Okay.
And then we can take a look and see what questions we still have at that point, make revisions, and come back in October. Ideally, it would be, my goal is that it be approved in November or December, so it can be listed with the DPI as another virtual charter school that students can apply to. And I think just by virtue of the name, eAchieve Academy versus eAchieve Alternative, the name itself will draw interest. I am looking for something that's an alternative, which typically is associated with at-riskness.
Are you going to be the administrator, the principal of the school, or will we have someone else?
I was planning on being the administrator if
Good.
you'll
Well,
have
that's
me
good.
there.
Well, I'm glad to hear that because, you are so familiar with this and this was part of your vision that I would like to see you. But are we going to have to hire some extra teachers?
We may have to hire some teachers in terms of study skills teachers to provide support, that one-on-one support.
Would they be more counselor-like or would they be classroom teacher-like?
Well, we'd really be looking for people who have all alternative education
Okay.
certifications.
Okay,
And
all
are
right.
really trained in working with at-risk students.
In eAchieve, all of the staff are Waukesha teachers, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Will it stay that way or?
Yes.
Okay, it will. Okay, great. Wow, wonderful. Any other comments? Yes,
So one
Mr.
other question,
Dietz?
you're looking at students in grades 5th grade through 12th?
Correct.
Okay, 5 through 12.
Well, I'd like to compliment you on caring so much about those kids because unfortunately, they've gotten lost over the years. And it's sad because these are kids that can achieve, but need more attention in other areas to achieve. So congratulations on that.
thank you.
I just appreciate that so much because we want all kids to succeed. And I thank you for that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Student achievement update.
All right.
Jody.
They are ready in their quest
Are
to
ready.
become the best elementary school in the state of Wisconsin.
I love it. I
Okay,
love it.
we have Lowell Elementary, and we'll let maybe Rachel Herman, the principal, introduce the crew or figure out how you're gonna rock us home.
That's great. That's wonderful. That is wonderful.
Leadership team. All right.
Well, good evening, everybody, and thank you for having us. I am beyond excited to share with you the amazing work that this team has done over the course of the year. All familiar faces. I'm Rachel Herman, proud principal of Lowell Elementary. I'm going to have the staff here introduce themselves and their role, and then we'll get right into the presentation.
I'm Bill Kirsch, physical education teacher.
I'm Vicki Shawy, school psychologist. Karen Knopf, deaf and hard of hearing teacher.
I'm Chris Holloway, math effectiveness coach.
I'm Becca Wipashinsky, second grade teacher.
Tanya Moore, fourth grade.
And Michelle Creasy, I'm a fifth grade teacher.
Well, welcome to each and every one of you. We're excited to hear what you have to share with us.
So you have in front of you, I shared with everybody a packet of our presentations in the rare chance that we would have some technology difficulties. So we'll get started. So our mission at Lowell is to create dynamic learning environments and experiences using each student's individual strengths and talents to cultivate social, emotional, and academic growth so that each of our students leaves Lowell college and career ready. Coming in as a first-year principal and coming in fresh as a new SAIL team, we spent our summer last year diving into our data. What did the last school year tell us about Lowell's storyline? And as you can see, we had some data that wasn't the data we wanted to see. Last year, over 50% of our students in grades 1 through 4 didn't meet their growth goal. And in some grade levels, it was far worse. Over 70% of students didn't meet their growth goal. Our building goals, even though they existed, were only observed in instruction 3 out of every 10 walkthroughs. 0 of our literacy and numeracy big rocks were being met last year. And on the SAIL team, only 40% of SAIL team members agreed to the statement that their school had a clear purpose and vision focused on all students learning at high levels. So there was only one way to go when you're looking at a storyline like this. And again, this team tackled this data with they embraced it and looked at it as just growth, not holy cow, what have we done wrong? And so I really commend them on that. So how we got there.
Okay, so like any strong leader, what you're going to find is that Rachel's going to be deflecting a lot of the credit onto her team, but she's a real important part of everything that's happening at Lowell. Let's not lose track of that. In response to the reality of the data that Rachel just shared, we knew that we had a lot of work to do. We rolled up our sleeves and developed a rather unique theory of action for Lowell. Our theory of action was just as much about academic achievement as it was about learners understanding themselves. Now, in coaching, and Jody, Joe, Todd, Chris, you can all probably back me up. In coaching, we can draw up as many fancy plays or new theories as we want, but if nobody's willing to execute it, it's not worth a hill of beans. That's what we know from coaching. We can have the best strategy in the world. Our staff at Lowell, top principal to custodian, is 100% on board with this theory of action, and that has, in my view, contributed immensely to the success that we're presently having at Lowell. Becca Wipashinsky and Michelle Creasy are going to describe some of the high leverage practices that helped us achieve our great results. And as a side note, Becca Wipashinsky there is a school district of Waukesha product. Blair, Butler, and North. Right there. Hey, you don't have to say that.
You forgot that.
Didn't want to mention it. So to reach our goal, we really, do you need it closer? To reach our goal, we really set out to develop 3 high leverage practices. And it was learner profiles, small group instruction, and we really wanted to develop our growth mindset and trust among not only our staff, but among our students as well. And we really dove into Carol Dweck's research about having a growth mindset and the power of that versus having a fixed mindset. And what that meant to us at Lowell is that we had to work really hard. We worked hard to develop a disposition around grit and perseverance. And if you walk into our classroom, what you'll notice is that our students don't want to give up. They don't want to guess. And they really, truly believe that if they try a different strategy, if they draw it out, if they get some help from a neighbor, that they can really solve any problem you put before them. And I think that made a huge difference in our students' achievement. We encourage our students to celebrate calculated risk-taking, and we foster the belief that mistakes are just learning opportunities, and it's in our staff as well. Sometimes we try something new and we're like, that's not what we thought would happen, but that's okay, we can grow from there. And our students have learned that too. One of our staff members says she calls mistakes beautiful mistakes, and I love it because we really know that that mistake is really a seed where learning can happen. So we also worked really hard at developing learners who can advocate for themselves and really taking that ownership of their own learning, because we know that when students own their own learning and they believe that they can do it, that engagement will increase, and that's what we want. So
I know.
So we believe that creating a positive learning environment that fosters student ownership with a growth mindset, if we do that, then students will become more engaged in their learning and take more owner responsibility in it as well. So to help students become more engaged in their learning, students need to know who they are as a learner. And the honeycomb up there shows that learner profiles are really at the core of that. And we chose to focus on learner profiles this year. We created them throughout, every child has one at the school. They're co-created. They include things like likes, dislikes for the child. There's data on there so they can see their growth and map scores, different reading levels, so they have ownership in that.
shows some of their strengths, maybe an area of growth. Also, a big focus is their learning environment. So what do they need as a learner to help them be successful? The picture on the left is just a screenshot from a student's learner profile. One of the things the child did this year was take a multiple intelligences survey. And this child, for example, came out that they were high in being musical was one of the high intelligences for them. So, well, then what does that mean? So the child looked into this more and found out that their learning style might include with the musical intelligence when they go to learn a new concept to relate it to a new song. If they're studying vocabulary words, they might want to come up with a rhythm or a beat to go with that. Also playing music in the background. So the chart on the right shows students in a classroom. They took their two highest their two highest results. It's called How Many Ways Smart Are We? And they put their stickers on there. And it was neat as a class to be able to also understand each other and their learning needs. So in this classroom, a majority you could see on the bottom left was music smart. So music was played a lot in the background, classical wordless music, but just to help foster the learning needs of the students. And so on our theory of action, we highlighted that if teachers engage in professional development surrounding high leverage practices, then they will implement these with fidelity. And so small group instruction was the high level practice that we focused on this year. We had a lot of PD around it, a lot of coaching along with that. So we took what we knew about our learners from these learner profiles, and we were able to use that to meet the learners where they're at in small groups, help propel them forward. We used the School District of Waukesha's continuums that we like that came out in math and reading, and that was able to help us stay proficiency based and move them through that. And also have intentional grouping and flexible grouping that moved on the students' needs. And you will see the impact of our results, of our achievement results here.
Dun, 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 right? Our results. Yay! So, culture climate survey results. So one of my favorite leadership quotes, this team, we talk about it all the time, culture eats strategy for breakfast. And this idea, so what Becca and Michelle talked about, that we focused on these high leverage practices. We knew that if we didn't establish a culture at Lowell where people felt appreciated, positive, safe, that none of it would matter. And so we focused and we measured that. We measured people's perceptions of their work environment. Did people feel like it was a positive place to be? Did people feel like it was collaborative? We measured that through a survey we administered in both the fall and then the spring. So if you remember back, our data stated that last year at this time, 40% of people said, like, I don't even know what my school goals are, right? This year, at this time, the survey was administered in May. Was also administered during Teacher Appreciation Week. I should say that, maybe a little purposefully, but no, I'm kidding. We were really excited. We were really excited to say that 100% of our staff strongly agreed to these two statements. The school goals are aligned to the classroom goals, so I believe that these goals are important enough that I'm going to align them to what I do in my own classroom, and building goals have been clearly communicated, and I understand the why behind them. When people know why you're doing something, they are more likely to buy into doing it themselves. And so this piece of data really just was super exciting to see, especially, again, considering where we were last year.
That brings us to our eSale results. As we know, eSale is a measure of our effectiveness as educators around our big rocks and around our theory of action. One of our main focuses here was small group instruction. That was our main focus, and we were ultra focused around building that. We believe that intentionally designing these small groups will get at all learners at their just right level. So we knew that we had to address this and address our effectiveness first before we could get into student results. That this high leverage practice has proven to shift, a positive shift in the way we deliver high quality instruction to our diverse learners in our building. So if you take a look at our data up here, you can see in the top left, 0%, zero literacy or numeracy eSale big rocks were being met last year, 2015, 2016. And then you'll see the results from our September baseline and our May summative on our literacy Big Rock and our math Big Rock. We'll go literacy Big Rock first. That was guided reading and literature discussion groups. In the baseline, we had 0% of our staff meeting those expectations from ESAIL, and we are up to, in May, up to 56% meeting. And then you'll see math, Big Rock number 3 is small group instruction and conferring with students. We had 14% in September, and we're up to 87% in May. So we have made tremendous strides in our ability to personalize our instruction, differentiate our instruction in a way that's really going to make a positive impact on student achievement. And you'll see, Tanya will go over that positive impact.
Yes, let's look at students. So this is our MAP spring results for literacy. And I want to explain what the cohorts are. So cohort 1 is the blue bar is for the 15-16 year. So that would be our first graders. Last year, that would be their literacy scores last year. And then the red bar is this year. So their first grade, they went to second grade, so now that's the second graders. It's the same class, and that is their results. So you can see how much that bar has gone up, how much they have grown in their scores. And as you go across, it's the same thing. Cohort 2 is grade 2 in the blue, and now they are third graders this year, and they have grown as well. And same thing for cohort 3 and cohort 4. Cohort 4 would be grade 4 in the blue, and now they are fifth graders. And that is our literacy results. Really good. And then the next slide, of course, is our numeracy, and it is the same thing. And as you go across, you can see that each of the bars is higher in the red. So we have really grown in numeracy as well. Very exciting.
So next, we're going to talk about some of our MAP data. So based on the spring 2017 MAP results, this table displays the amount of students who would qualify to receive further academic interventions in the coming school year of fall 2017. With our average enrollment of about 300 students, for each subject area, we would expect that about 30 students would qualify below the 10th percentile and for each subject. So you can see that we have the 7 and the 5, which is well below 30. We also have 75% or 75 students we would expect below the 25th percentile. So we have 11 and 25 right now. Also, as a result of the emphasis of growth mindset and student engagement this year, we also saw quite a drop of students that were referred for behavioral concerns that were both staff managed as well as teacher managed. So the one on the left is 2015-16, and then this year is reflected on the right.
So as you can see, we've come a long way, and that's credit to these teachers and staff members that are sitting here at this table and that are at Lowell that are not representing us right now. Now that we've gone through all of the measurable data, we would like to take the opportunity to share a quick video that demonstrates some areas of growth that can't simply be measured by a test.
This year I learned not to ask for help right away because then I work hard at it and then if I get it right I get to feel proud that I did it myself. If I don't know what strategy to use, I try many and then I'll eventually figure it out. Even if I don't reach my end goal, I know I need to persevere, show my work, and I know I'm doing my best. If I were to grow, I would grow math but it actually equals 200.
So as you So as you can see tonight, that both students and staff at Lowell have grown exponentially this year in the 2016-2017 school year. And as we look forward to next year, we have identified 4 key components that we want to really look at to build our capacity at Lowell. One is to continue to develop our growth mindset in ourselves and as well as in our students, and to do this through professional development and through implementation. We would like to dive deeper into our learner profiles and our proficiency-based pathways through the use of the school district's literacy and numeracy continuums, continue to promote our culture of inclusion, and then also to start to dig into how to design learning spaces that promote the innovation, personalization, and the collaboration at Lowell. So, thank you.
Questions, comments? Mr. Baumgart.
I have a comment. Your packet. We've seen a number of these over the course of the last year, and yours has some of the most concrete figures that I've seen. I mean, I really appreciate that. Put it this way, there's not much fluff in there, and sometimes we get fluff. But yours is very, very specific as to where you've grown and how you've grown. And I just want to tell you how much that's appreciated compared to, sometimes you got to figure out not you, but what are you telling us? And this was very, very specific, and I appreciate that.
Well, I like the idea. Oh, I'm sorry.
It's okay. I
No,
can
go right
after you.
ahead.
Okay, thank you. Can we just go back to the graph that says e-sale in the top left corner? I'm not understanding why the September baseline, I get the huge growth from the 14% to the 87%, but why is it going down in the May summative for A and B?
Oh, that's approaching and beginning. So those numbers are going to fluctuate. So all of those together are going to give you that 100%. So right now, if our meeting is growing, our approaching and beginning are going to minimize. Our teachers that are at that approaching or beginning level. So because when we go into a classroom, we're looking at components and criteria that's either going to put them into a meeting, it's going to put them into an approaching, it's going to put them into a beginning, or it's going to put them into a not observed range. And that not observed range, which we don't see those components of that particular big rock at that time. So when we see that growth in that meeting, those other ones are going to naturally fall, which is really what we want to see.
Of course, I think what you're saying is those numbers are always going to be close to.
And we want that meeting obviously to be our highest.
So Rachel, at the beginning of this school year, that's almost over with, you started this process, right? This is this year's work.
This is this year's work, but
Yes.
I have to give like a shout out. I don't know if Dee's in the room, but no. Dee Garcia, in April of last year, started working with the SAIL team to really dive into what does a leadership team look like and how does a leadership team function in a school.
Okay.
And so I came on board and we all met for lunch and got to know one another. And then we dove into the work in June.
But I think some of your success, or a great deal of your success, is that you looked at student achievement and you knew that was not satisfactory, and you knew it was possible for students to do much better, but you also knew that there had to be some great changes going on in your school. And that's the hardest part of all, is making the changes that are hard. These are hard things to do. And your results are just phenomenal. I just can't congratulate you enough for what you've done over there. It's just great.
This group, they did it.
That's
They
great.
do it.
And each and every one of you are part of this success. It isn't just you, Rachel, you realize that. You're all part of that success, and how exciting for those students to learn and have, so much more and achieve so much more. And they know it, don't they? How do you tell them? How do you tell the kids it?
I'm going to let Miss Creasy talk about how she tells her students and
Okay,
celebrates
great.
with them, because it's quite unique and brave, in my opinion.
So my students know
Yes.
that if they meet their growth targets in literacy and or math, they get to bring something to dress me up in, or they can choose something to make me do as long as it's safe. And so we will be doing that this week. And I have worn capes and masks on the front and back, and I've had ponytails put all over my head and all sorts of interesting things. So they own that. They're excited about it. And I have to say, off the top of I don't think there was one student that doesn't get to bring me one thing, because there may have been a few students who didn't make growth in both areas, but I don't think we have one student who didn't make some growth.
I want to add to that too, with Michelle specifically. A lot of this is carried over with the kids into other areas of the school. It's not just in their classroom. I can't tell you how many dabs I've had to do because of it, because, hey, I met my growth goal and that was our deal. So they're not just holding it in their classroom, they're also carrying it throughout the school with them. And I think their celebrations with the other students reflects on each other too. So the 5th grade kind of showing their 4th grade peers, hey, I did this. I think it's been a group effort.
And you know you're succeeding when they put your words back at you, because I tried rapping in the beginning of the year. Didn't go well. And that was one of my students. He said, I met my growth in math and literacy. You know what I'm going to make you do, right? And I looked at him and he said, have a growth mindset. So I was like, all right.
So do you have a time with each student when you're setting their goals? Okay, each student, and they set their own goals.
Their daily goal. I'm sorry. Does somebody else want to answer that? They set their daily goals for themselves, but when it comes to map data, we also have growth targets for them to meet as well. So.
Okay.
In 2nd grade, we don't dive deep into map data with the kids. We kind of give them goals to go from, but the students do have goals in the different components of reading in 2nd grade, and so during independent reading time, they have their goal sheet out in front of them, and they can choose which goal they're working on, whether it's a fluency goal, an engagement goal, a strategy goal, so they get to pick what they're working on. I think that's one of the benefits of being a co-teacher, is that while I'm providing that small group instruction and trying to stick to the fidelity of it, that my co-teacher is going around and goal setting with the kids and being able to check in with them on how they've met it.
So your co-teacher is another teacher?
Yeah.
So you have 2 teachers in your classroom?
Yep, we team teach,
Oh,
so
you
we
team
have
teach,
2
okay.
2nd grades in one
Okay,
classroom.
yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, there's power in that.
Yes, there is.
Ms. Franchek.
Love your charts. I thought this was very telling. The music smart has the most dots, and
Yeah.
then math.
Yeah.
I just, if Ellen Langell was here, she'd be pointing that out right now, that music helps kids learn. So I just wanted to point that out, because I don't know if, you had it up there so people saw, but.
Dr. Langer used to be a member of our school board, and she's a college professor, and she really was into, math, and she was great. We'll have to call her and tell her. Yes, Mr. Dietz.
First of all, I think it's day 178 with students for you. And the excitement and the commitment that I see from each and every one of you is so contagious that it must just carry on throughout your entire school and your school culture. So I want to commend you for all your extra efforts in turning things around so quickly. That doesn't happen without a lot of hard work and commitment. Second of all, was there any parent component to any of this? Was there additional communication? Was there additional parent involvement? Could you speak just a little bit on the parent part of the success of?
Sure. I think it started, I go back to my interview, and I had a parent on my interview panel who said, Rachel, you've never been in an elementary school. And that makes me nervous. And I said, me too. Me too. That makes me nervous. And right from the beginning, I think just like with the staff, we worked really hard to understand our community. Who are the parents? What do they value? Myself and Mr. Kirsch did home visits this summer, and that was just incredibly eye-opening for how long Mr. Kirsch has actually been in the district, as well as we would go to a house and it would be, Bill, you were my teacher. And after like the fifth one of those, I'm like, it was okay. It was a good time. But we got to really, I think, reach out and help parents to see, like, we respect what you bring to the table, and we want to know what that looks like and feels like in your environment. We're continuing with that practice going into this summer. Tanya Moore serves on our Vanguard team along with Karen Knopf, and they facilitated, I don't think I sat in on a single Vanguard meeting, and they facilitated an incredible parent night to showcase our literacy and technology achievement. Becca Wipashinsky and our literacy coach facilitated a literacy night. And so I think just understanding who our community is, what they value, and then creating experiences that align to those values was important, and our parent community support has been incredible.
Great team.
I also want to add to that, just with a lot of the great teachers here and their sharing of student evidence too. We have multiple ways that and multiple platforms that the teachers are sharing evidence daily with parents, and allowing for back and forth communication between the parents and in real time during the class. Kids sending stuff and parents commenting back immediately. So there's a lot of power in that, and that building that growth mindset with that communication between parent and child. So it's been great.
Joey?
Since we're on a love fest, I just really want to commend all of you at the table. I think your clear focus as a school is remarkable. I think your caring and collaborative spirit with one another is undeniable, and each of you brings a teacher leadership that is second to none. And so we could not end this year on a better note, highlighting a better school with all of you, and I'm just really proud that you're all with us and serving our students. So thank you.
And I'm impressed with the fact that you call yourself a team, but you function as a team. And I was fortunate enough to be a member of a team, and there's constant collaboration and sharing and asking questions and solving problems. And I hear you. You're a true team. Everybody has a role. It's wonderful.
Barb, just one
Yes,
more.
Mr.
I think, too, just a shout out for the central office administration for the sale process, bringing that to the district and their commitment and dedication to see that follow through. I don't think sometimes they get the recognition that they deserve, and I want to thank them for leading all this too and bringing it to your schools and noting the successes from it. So thank you to all of you.
Greg, thank you for saying that, because sometimes we overlook the leadership that comes out of central office, and without their support and without their professional development, et cetera. Right. It's great. It's great. You're right.
I second.
Both teams to work together. Well, I'll be anxious to see what you're doing again next year, and the best thing is that kids know where they're at, and that's so exciting. They really, really know what kind of learners they are and how much they can do. I think it's exciting. So good job. Keep it up.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okie dokie, we have one more thing to do before we, adjourn. And that is, we had a first and a second, we had a motion made to accept the minutes and a second to accept the minutes, but I overlooked the vote as usual. So all those in favor, or any more discussion about the minutes? Okay, any comments? All right, all those in favor, respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, great. Well, that brings us to the end of our meeting. And would you believe the next time we meet will be August 1st? Oh, my. Enjoy your summer. Thank you for your participation tonight. And thank you, Stacy, for your little treat. Meeting is adjourned.